Hi, I'm Kitty Feldy. We continue our look at books that have been challenged or banned. This week, it's Jewell Parker Rhodes' tale of a young black boy shot by a white police officer, Ghost Boys. The book was temporarily banned in Florida's second-largest school district over a complaint that the book was propaganda against the police. A rural school district in California removed the book from curriculum after a parent complained about political views in the book. Give a listen to our discussion of Ghost Boys.
It's the book club for kids.
It's the book club for kids.
It's the book club for kids.
It's the book club for kids podcast.
Hi, I'm Kitty Feldy. The nation's been having a conversation about black kids and the police. This week, we have that conversation with a group of readers from Washington, D.C., as they discuss the novel Ghost Boys.
I feel like if people read this book, they're going to really open up and be like, oh, this is the stuff that's happening in our society. And they're going to try to maybe be more aware and try to prevent it.
It's a difficult topic, even for writer Jewell Parker Rhodes.
My editor said, "Jewell, do you want to write about the murder of young black kids?" And I immediately said, no.
Our celebrity reader, actor Jonathan Del Palmer, lets us hear from the central character in the book before he becomes a ghost boy.
Why can't I have some fun? Pretend I'm a rebel in Rogue One. Better yet, scare Eddie if he tries ambushing me on the way home, or jumping me tomorrow on the way to school. Why am I the only one who's scared all the time? It's just a toy, I whisper to Kim. It won't do anything bad.
This is the Book Club for Kids, the podcast where kids talk about books. We'll tell you how you can be on the show a little bit later on, but first, let's meet our readers.
Hello, my name is Sabria.
Hello, my name is Calvin.
Hello, my name is Bonnie.
Hello, my name is Eliman, and we all are 8th graders at Columbia Heights Educational Campus in Washington, D.C.
The book that we all were reading is Ghost Boys, and it's about a boy named Jerome who was killed by police brutality, and his journey, going through the feelings of his family members and speaking to all these other, ghost boys in the realm between living and being, dead.
I guess we should define what a ghost boy is.
The ghost boy, he's an African-American boy. When he goes to school, he is bullied and stuff. And his sister Kim is basically popular. And he's not as popular as Kim. And so that makes him get messed with and stuff. And it's just basically a hard time for him. And plus he lives in a very dangerous environment too. So people like him always get shot by police and stuff.
He goes to school and he meets this new student, Carlos. He meets him and they become friends. But something happens. He gets a toy gun, but the next day, I guess, a cop thought it was a real gun and shot him without announcing himself, and people want justice for him.
And usually that's where a story would end if somebody's dead, but this book sort of starts right there.
His ghost, he thinks he's still alive, calls people until he hears another ghost boy, Emmett Till, and then they have the journey together, and then the only person that could see him is the police officer's daughter, the white girl, Sarah. They become acquaintances, not friends, because sometimes he got annoyed.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be friends with a ghost, I guess, What else? I mean, describe that relationship. What an odd relationship, and why do you think it was her that saw him?
It's kind of weird, but I think maybe because, for example, when parents do something bad, to me, I think if the consequence or karma doesn't go back to the parent, it evolves and goes to the child. And maybe has to deal with something about that. And maybe Sarah is just dealing with the karma that her father didn't have to deal with.
Let's take a step back and get to know Jerome a little bit better. Our celebrity reader is actor Jonathan Del Palmer.
Sky is overcast. There isn't any snow, just dirty mounds of ice on the ground. Kids are escaping school, yelling and shouting. Across the street are some dealers. Principal Alton watches them. Nobody is approaching me, Carlos, and Kim. I study the gun. The gun's blackness is bold, startling. I'm always good. Teasing Kim doesn't count. I say what Grandma wants to hear, calm her and Ma, watch out for Kim, play Minecraft for just an hour, okay, sometimes 2, do my homework, even act nice when Mr. Myers isn't asking me, he's asking the whole class, to welcome the new kid. Sucker. That's me. Why can't I have some fun? Pretend I'm a rebel in Rogue One. Better yet, scare Eddie if he tries ambushing me on the way home. Or jumping me tomorrow on the way to school. Why am I the only one who's scared all the time? It's just a toy, I whisper to Kim. It won't do anything bad. The gun rests in Carlos's brown palm. My head aches. My stomach hurts. Grandma and Ma won't like it. Pop will get mad. Weird. Kim's words make me want the toy more. It's okay, says Carlos. In the cold, his breath blows smoke. It's okay. Carlos spins, tucks the toy into his pocket. I clutch his arm. I want to play. Carlos grins. Slyly, he slides the toy to me. Bye, he says, jogging, then running full out. I grip the handle. It's firm with ridges. The barrel doesn't spin, but the trigger cocks just as if you were loading or firing a real gun. I look down the rounded muzzle. There aren't any plastic bullets or pellets. My hands shake. I look up. Light snow falls. I shiver. It's just a toy. Why am I scared of a toy? I made a friend, I say to Kim, as if that explains everything. She scowls and starts walking home, her lips taut, thin like Ma's when she's angry. Today was a good day, I say. I didn't get hurt. I didn't get beat. Today was a good day. I made a friend. I keep chattering, and though she's my little sister, she's street smart. She knows how lonely my school days are. She knows I'm begging without saying, don't tell, please don't tell Ma or Grandma, especially not Pop. She slips her hand in mine. I know I'm safe. We walk home. My left hand feels how warm Kim's gloves are. Like Carlos, I don't have any gloves. My right hand clutches the plastic in my pocket. It burns.
What does it feel like to be dead and be a ghost? From what we can tell from this book, in other words.
You probably feel annoyed and cause you see the world going on, and then you just nothing is happening. You just think still, like time stopped for you, but in the world, people are still like doing stuff.
And he was very, angry because he saw his family's hardships, like their pain. With him dead, his grandma can't hear 3 good things in the morning because that's what she asked Jerome to give her, because she's usually like a person who worries a lot in her dreams, and Jerome's mom is too, and his grandpa is too. So everyone was really upset about Jerome's death, and he couldn't do anything about it. He just had to sit there and like watch it and like see their suffering.
I feel like maybe when you're like a ghost or dead, you can't really like interact with people. You might think maybe, oh, I'm a ghost, I might be able to like, help move stuff around or something, but you're just there watching everything happen. And like, for example, you can't really protect the people that you like love.
You can't really interact with the people that loved you and stuff, and you can't really do anything. You can't even like comfort them while they're crying or something. Especially with his little sister Kim, she had it pretty hard, and then like Carlos steps up and like tries to protect her.
Did it make you think about what might happen if we weren't here anymore? I mean, who would the people left here still alive, how they might deal with you not being here?
I think it's different because the ghost boys that were already like ghosts in Jerome, they weren't supposed to die like right then. They were supposed to die of whatever like the world has set out for them, but that's not how they were supposed to die. So I think if we die naturally, we will be at peace. But if something disruptive happens in your life, then you'll be like lost, like how Jerome was and all the other ghost boys were.
I feel like a person like me, if I die or something, I feel like my parents, they might like, they're going to be like so sad, and because they really love me, but at the same time, they're going to be like, oh, he's in a better place now. And like eventually when they like pass away, they might get to see me or something.
Yeah, my mom and my sister would be really sad, and like some of my friends, and like if something that were to happen to like Jerome happen to me, they would want justice as well. They wouldn't like be at peace if that didn't happen. Like at the end with Jerome, they didn't get justice.
How much did you guys know about Emmett Till before you read this book?
I known a lot about Emmett Till. Well, not a lot, but just how the story of how he died, and I learned a lot more when I read the book. Emmett Till was a boy in the 1950s, and he was playing with his friends in Mississippi, and in where he was from, you can talk to like white people without getting any like consequences. So as a dare, he went to buy some bubblegum from a white-owned store, and when he left, the lady was getting her pistol, so they all ran, and he had like a lisp, so he was like, what are you doing? So they all ran and went back to the house, and that night, Emmett Till was dragged from his home. He was beat up in a car, and he was attached to the back of a car and dragged through like a really jaggedy road. And his mother, when they found the body, his mother had an open casket funeral for the body because he wanted to show everyone how the world did her like baby.
Jewell Parker Rhodes is no stranger to writing books about difficult topics. Her earlier novel, Towers Falling, looks at 9/11 through the eyes of kids born long after the terrorist attacks. But let's talk about ghost boys. Do you guys have some questions for our writer?
Did police brutality happen to you? Is that the reason why you wrote this book?
Police brutality didn't happen to me personally or any of my children, but when I was a young mother and my son was 2 years old, Rodney King, an adult male, was battered by about 15 police officers with bully sticks. And it was so horrifying. And afterwards, there were great riots in Los Angeles, and every single one of the police officers was declared innocent of using undue force. And that really unnerved me because I thought one day my son's going to be 18 years old and somebody might be terrified of him, and the police might decide, oh, he's a threat. So that's always been in the back of my mind. But the death that really inspired me to write this book was the death of Tamir Rice. It horrified me that a young 12-year-old boy in Cleveland, Ohio, could be playing with a toy gun, and that the police officers literally did not even stop their car. They sort of like went up onto the grass, jumped out. They didn't say, put your weapon down. They didn't say anything or have tasers. They just shot him. That just undid me. And it seemed as though I was writing the book, there were more and more young black kids dying every single day. But I also remember Emmett Till being murdered. That was part of my history growing up. So it bothered me that Emmett Till died when I was 2 years old, right? And here I'm now an adult, grandmother, and there are still young black kids being murdered. So that connection, I really felt as though I had to write a book to say to the world, we've got to do better.
What made you have the idea to have the little boy Jerome as a ghost boy?
Well, in the African American tradition, drawn from African spirituality, there's always been a notion that the dead aren't really gone. So the phrase my grandmother would say is, every goodbye ain't gone. And she felt the space between the living and the dead was very, very thin. So some people would say grandmother was a conjure woman because she told me about ghosts and spirits and she claimed to see them. And my grandmother has been dead for about 40 years. I still feel her presence ever, ever, ever so close. So ghosts or spiritual ancestors are a part of my cultural tradition. I also like the idea of using ghosts because it seemed to me that history is alive. Horrible things as well as good things that happen in the universe are still present. So I wanted these young Black boys who were murdered to come back, not as just victims. I wanted them to come back and look for people to help set the world straight. So the ghosts bear witness. And bearing witness is really a response to where somebody tells the truth, whether it be about the Holocaust, whether it be about sexism, that you tell the truth to make others have a call to action, to make the world better.
Why do you think kids should learn all of these controversial topics, such as police brutality and in falling towers, like 9/11?
For me, when I look at a middle school student, I see the promise of the adult that they're going to be. I think we shouldn't patronize middle school students, and in fact, most in 5, 6, or 7 years are going to be citizens voting and running the world. So we need to start talking in safe spaces in school with our parents, in our communities about terrorism, about police brutality, about all kinds of tough subjects, because it's not going to be that all of a sudden you become 18 and you're voting that you're going to be informed. You need to start that education now. And we as adults particularly need to help you in that education. So I'm waiting for you guys to rule the world, and you're going to do it so very, very well, but you won't do it if we keep things from you because you're too young, or we want you to remain ignorant and not be critical thinkers.
What's the process of writing a book, especially like a book like this? People are delicate to this topic, and like, what's your process of your thinking process when you're writing it?
First off, I did not want to write this book. I did not want to write Towers Falling either. They were suggested to me by my editors at Little Brown. And in fact, my editor said, Jewell, do you want to write about the murder of young Black kids? And I immediately said, no. But 3 months went by, and the subject just sort of stuck in my soul. It stuck in my soul because of what had happened with my son growing up. It stuck in my soul because of all the news reports that I heard about other young innocent children being murdered by police. And I really felt that I should try. That for the kids living today, I should try to write this book in a way that opens up the discussion, in a way that bears witness to the fact that racial bias has to end.
I feel like if people read this book, they're going to really open up and be like, oh, this is the stuff that's happening in our society. And they're going to try to maybe be more aware and try to prevent it.
It happens a lot in our community, in our world. So it's just another example of what has happened and what could happen. So it's just something that can make you think we need to stop this from happening again and again.
So what part of the book really resonated with you? You were dancing around a little earlier about something in the book that was really bothering you.
I was really mad about the ending. He didn't go to jail for what he did, the officer, and I was really mad about that because that happens a lot in the real world, and it's just they don't get justice for what they did.
When Officer Moore didn't get charged with murder, it got me really upset because Jerome was about the size of Officer Moore's daughter, Sarah. And Sarah's quite small. And it said in the book that he was about 5'1" and had a skinny structure. He was 80, 90 pounds. And then Officer Moore thought that Jerome was like a grown man. It was like he was lying, and Jerome knew he was lying, but no one else can see it because he was just a ghost and he couldn't say anything.
I wondered, like, the officer Moore, he didn't go to jail or nothing. He didn't get punished. I wonder why. How he didn't, like, go to jail for that, because you could tell if somebody's really small and, like, that big.
There's a line in the book that says, "I wish I'd known that the world was so much bigger and better than my neighborhood." Talk to me about that. I mean, how much you guys live in the nation's capital, and you live in Columbia Heights, which is one part of that city. How much do you think you know about the world outside of Columbia Heights? I mean, what do you know about the world outside of Columbia Heights?
I honestly don't know anything about anything outside of DC. Mostly in, like, the district. Like, I've only been, like, around here mostly. Like, Makaya, my friend from last year, she would tell me about, like, Indiana and stuff. I had no idea what she would be talking about, and I'd be, like, confused and lost. So I'd be like, let me show you around DC instead.
I feel like I know, out of Columbia House, I know, like, a lot of stuff because, like, I'm kind of into, like, searching up stuff and, like, finding new information. Because, like, I have a lot of family members that in North Carolina, New York. It's easier for me to know different places besides Columbia Heights.
I know a little bit because a lot of places are kind of like the same. They have one part of, like, town and they have another part that's really, really beautiful and has all these landmarks and everything.
So we come to the part of the show where we ask what we always call our hardest question, which is, what is your favorite book of all times and why?
My favorite book is The Giver, just because of the main character trying to be different from everyone else, but at the same time trying to discover, like, who he was, because he was very different and he had to be a memory collector, and he got to see all these different types of, like, colors because there wasn't any color in his world because of, like, the government trying to control everyone.
Why do you like it?
Because he tried to make a new beginning to, like, a colorful, unique world instead of just, like, a black and white.
Favorite book?
Iqbal. It's in Pakistan, I think. It's like rich guys who take kids because their parents, like, owed them money, so they take their kid and put them into slavery. He was, like, the best worker out of all of them, who could, like, make the carpets. I liked how he became an activist, try to stop that.
My favorite book is All American Boys. It's also about social justice. It's, like, kind of like Ghost Boys.
Favorite book?
Okay, so my favorite book is Cat in the Hat.
Everybody loves Cat in the Hat, but why do you love Cat in the Hat?
Because it's, like, very funny, and, like, I love the cat. He's just hilarious.
What about you, Jonathan Del Palmer? What is your favorite book?
My favorite book would have to be Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It really got me into reading. I mean, I went to every book fair since that book came out and just devoured as many books as possible.
Okay, Jewell Parker Rhodes, it's your turn. What is your favorite book?
I think that my most favorite book of all time was this comic book about Prince Valiant, one of the King Arthur's knights. I didn't know until one day I was like 28 years old, and my husband asked me, "Jewel, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I immediately flashed back to Prince Valiant, the comic book that I must have read when I was like 6 or 7. And I said, I want to be valiant. And if you look up the word valiant, it means to be brave, to be courageous, to be daring. It embedded itself in my soul and helped me not be passive about living my life, but to go out there and try my best to get all the joy that I could possibly have.
We'll have a list of everybody's favorite book at our website, bookclubforkids.org. This episode is funded in part by the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, dedicated to advancing the education of exceptionally promising students who have financial need, and by the Nora Roberts Foundation and the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. Thank you all. Thanks this week to our producer, Ilse Setziel. Brandon Baker composed our theme with additional music from Charles Nillman. Emma Steinkellner designed our logo. Thanks to our writer, Jewell Parker Rhodes, and celebrity reader, Jonathan Del Palmer. And thanks as well to our readers this week, Sabria, Bonnie, Calvin, and Aliman, and their librarian, Angela Falkenberg, from the Columbia Heights Educational Campus, Lincoln Middle School in Washington, D.C. We have a free newsletter for teachers, parents, and librarians full of free tips about how to turn kids into lifelong readers. It comes out about once a month, and you can sign up at the website bookclubforkids.org. I'm Kitty Feldy. Thanks so much for listening.